This is take two. Okay, so we are still talking about Jacob. And remember, Jacob has a lot of sons now. Jacob has just, in the last video, he had the reunion with his brother Esau. And then he found him a piece of property that he paid 100 shekels, 100 shekels of silver for. And then he decides to move down the road a little ways to a place called Bethel. And it's the same place where he was running away from his brother, where he saw the ladder going to heaven and the angels coming up and down. And they went to Bethel. And while they were there, Rachel is having another baby. It's number 2 for her. So it didn't go very well. She's having the baby and it's really hard. And they didn't have special hospitals or any doctors. They just had themselves. And so she didn't do well, and she had the baby, and she named him Ben-Oni, and then she died. And that's so sad. So I want to remind you of all the sons. So there's number 1 is Reuben, number 2 is Simeon, number 3 is Levi, number 4 is Judah, and then number 5 is Dan, number 6 is Naphtali, number 7 is Gad, number 8 is Asher, number 9 is Issachar, number 10 is Zebulun, and then they have a daughter named Dinah, and then Rachel had Joseph, and now she had Ben-Oni, but Jacob changed it to Benjamin, and I liked Benjamin. Benjamin's nice. So they decided they made their home right there at this place, Bethel, but it also has a different name, Ephrath, and later it's changed to Bethlehem. Does that sound familiar? Bethlehem? Maybe you've heard of it? Okay, we'll talk about it later. So while they're there, they decide to go for a visit, and they went to visit, and guess who's still alive? Grandpa Isaac is still alive, and they visit with Grandpa Isaac, and he lives to be 180 years old. Wow, it said he lived to a ripe old age. That's exactly what it said about Abraham, a ripe old age. I hope me, Mom, and Papa get to live to 180. So it says that Esau and Jacob buried their father, so they were still friends, still good brothers. Now, the next story is in chapter 37, and now we pick up with Joseph, and Joseph is 17 now. So some other stuff happened in between, but it doesn't say what. So it tells about all the generations, and you can go read it for yourself, but the next real good story is about Joseph when he's 17, and he is out helping his father and his brothers tend the sheep. And, taking care of animals, Jacob knows how to do that. And they have a lot of animals, and they've got a lot of people, and they got to find green grass for the sheep and green grass for the cows and water and all that. And I think something happened where the brothers did something that wasn't very good. Maybe they picked on him. Maybe they made fun of him. But Joseph came back and told his dad. And all it says is he gave a bad report on his brothers. So you know how his brothers felt about him then? Not good. His brothers didn't like him. His father loved loved Joseph, and he was the favorite. And parents should not have favorites. Remember what I told you about who my favorite is? My favorite is whoever I'm with. But I think that maybe Jacob loved Joseph so much because of his mother was Rachel, and he loved Rachel. And also because Jacob is a little bit older. It said he was the son of his old age. So they're tending the sheep, and Joseph has a dream. And then he's not smart, and he tells his brothers his dream. He said, "Brothers, listen to what I dreamed. It was so strange. I dreamed that we were binding up wheat. When you go and gather wheat from the field, you gather it up in big stalks." And I said, he said, I dreamed that we were tying up our bundles of wheat. And all of the bundles stood up by themselves. And all of the bundles, all of your bundles, gathered in a circle around my bundle. And they all bowed. You know, do you remember when Jacob was going to meet Esau and how he bowed? It's a sign of respect. Ooh, that didn't go well. So the brothers said, do you think you're going to be a king over us? Do you think we have to respect you? Well, that wasn't good enough. Joseph went and had another dream, and he told his brothers and his father about his dream. And this time it said the sun and the moon and 11 stars bowed down to him. Uh-oh, that did not go well at all, and even Jacob got mad at Joseph. But you know what? He told Joseph not to be telling the dreams anymore. But Jacob thought about this dream and what it might mean, because remember, Jacob has had dreams. Well, one day, the brothers had taken the sheep out of town, and they probably were gone like a month even. And Jacob said, Joseph, I need you to go check on your brothers. I want you to go see if they're okay, and then come back and give me a report. And Joseph said, okay, Dad, I'm ready to do that. And so he goes. And he goes to the place where they were supposed to be, and they weren't there. And then he asked a man that he saw, did you see my brothers and all these sheep that they had with them? And the man said, yeah, I heard them say they were going to Dothan. So Joseph starts off to Dothan. And a long way off, they saw him coming. And they said, here comes that dreamer. We need to get rid of him. It's a good time right now. We can get rid of him. We can kill him. Why don't we grab him and put him in one of these dry wells? Oh my goodness, it's terrible. I hate hearing about this. So they do. And before they throw him in the well, they take his coat, his beautiful colored coat that his dad had given him. And then they start thinking, Reuben decided that when the brothers weren't looking, he was going to rescue. Remember, Reuben is the oldest. And he decided when the brothers weren't looking, he was going to rescue Joseph and take him home. But while he was out doing something, some traveling salespeople came by. And these, in the Bible, it calls them Ishmaelites. Does that sound familiar? Do you remember Ishmael? So these are traveling salesmen, and they had camels. And they were riding on camels, and they sold spices, it said. Well, the brothers got this great idea. We'll sell him, because if we just kill him, we get nothing out of it. But if we sell him, we make a little profit. And he is our brother. We shouldn't kill him. So they sold him to the Ishmaelites. And the Ishmaelites were on their way to Egypt to sell the spices to the Egyptians. So guess where Joseph ends up? He ends up in Egypt. Oh my goodness, it's already 8 minutes. I want to hurry and tell you the rest of the story, so I'm going to hurry. Okay, so Reuben comes back, and he sees that the brother's gone. And he said, where is he? What are we going to tell Dad? And the brothers tell him that they sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites, and they killed a goat, and they put the blood on the coat, and then they told their dad, a wild animal must have got him, Dad. We're so sorry. And Jacob cried for many days, and they tried to comfort him, and nobody could comfort him. He said, I'm going to be sad the rest of my days. Well, let's get on to Joseph and his story. So Joseph goes to Egypt, and they sell him to a man named Potiphar. And Potiphar was the leader of the Pharaoh's guards. Now, the Pharaoh is like the king of Egypt. He's the Pharaoh. And so Potiphar is the head of the guards. And so he's very wealthy, and he has a really nice house. And he sees Joseph, and he teaches Joseph how to do everything. And he eventually puts Joseph in charge of his whole house. He was in charge of Potiphar's money. He paid all the bills. He took care of everything. He was doing really well, and God blessed him while he's doing it. And Potiphar could see that everything that Joseph did was being blessed by God. So it was really a good situation for Joseph and for Potiphar. But Potiphar's wife wasn't such a good person. And she wanted Joseph to do something that wasn't nice. And Joseph said, no, I am your husband's employee, and he's put me in charge of everything, and I'm not going to do this bad thing that you want me to do. And so she caught him by the shirt, and he ran away from her, and she's holding his shirt. So then when Potiphar comes home, she tells a lie about Joseph and says that he tries to attack her. And then Potiphar has no choice but to put Joseph in prison. So now Joseph's in prison. But guess what? It's okay, because God goes right there with him. And while Joseph's in prison, everybody likes him. The prison guard loves him and puts him in charge of all the prisoners. So now Joseph has a high position in the prison. And he's taking care of the prisoners, and everything's going really well. And I'm almost done with the story. So two prisoners come in. One is the Pharaoh's cupbearer. And what the cupbearer does is taste the wine and make sure it's not been poisoned, and then give it to the Pharaoh. And then the baker, you know what the baker does, the baker bakes all the sweets. Well, they're both put in prison because of something they said or did made the Pharaoh unhappy. So they both have a dream while they're in the prison. And they say, oh, we're so sad because we had this dream and we don't know what it means. And Joseph said, God is the only one who can interpret dreams. Tell me your dream and I'll see if God can help me interpret it for you. So the cupbearer says, my dream was there was a vine and there was 3 branches, and then leaves came on the branches, and then grapes. And then I was holding the Pharaoh's cup, and I squeezed the grapes into the cup and gave it to Pharaoh to drink. And Joseph said, the 3 vines or the 3 branches are 3 days. And in 3 days, the Pharaoh will bring you out of prison and put you back in your job again. Well, the baker was so excited to hear that good news that he said, well, tell me about mine. And my dream is there were 3 baskets of bread, all different kinds of bread, and they were on my head. And then the birds were eating the bread out of the baskets on my head. And Joseph said, well, in 3 days, that's the 3 baskets. In 3 days, in 3 days, the Pharaoh will bring you out of prison and hang you, and you'll be dead. And the birds will be eating the meat off your bones. Ooh, not such a nice story. Well, in 3 days, that is exactly what happened. In 3 days, it was Pharaoh's birthday, and he was feeling pretty good. So in 3 days, he brought the cupbearer out, and he brought the baker out and hanged him. And do you think that the cupbearer would remember to tell the Pharaoh what a good guy Joseph is? Nope, he did not remember. And I'm going to stop now because there's a more exciting part of the story coming in the next video.